Let's spend a couple of words about car light trails. Now, if you want to achieve these effects, I'm not suggesting you to do it with a brush. And the reason is there's many reasons. Okay. The first reason is these lines are not, keeping the same thickness. So they will probably be thicker close to you and then thinner as long as the car goes away. And, the reason is we have perspective even with these lines. So if you have the wrong perspective in the photo, you know, there's no way for your lines to work properly on your image. Another reason is to not use a brush. Another reason is, we have different types of, signs and trails inside the same trail. And the easiest way to achieve a nice effect is to use a photo, okay? And of course, you need to use a photo with the right perspective, the right placement. And I would say you can go out and take your own pictures if you want. And of course, you need to put the camera on a tripod. And the reason is, those photos looks like this because the camera take a few seconds to produce the image, to produce the photo. And in those seconds, the car pass by. And so you get this kind of, motion line, this trail. And this is the only reason why we get this kind of photo. Okay. If you try to do this image, this kind of photo during the day, I mean, it's probably not working that well because if you keep the camera with the diaphragm open for more than, I don't know, a fraction of a second, there's too many light getting inside the camera, and so your image will be overexposed. So, if you want to achieve a photo like that, of course you need to, go out in the night or in the evening and, put a camera on a tripod and of course have a very long shutter speed. Now, if you look at, these pictures, sometimes we can find photos with a lighting, an overall lighting that looks like, it's the daylight. Now, like this one, and this kind of stuff is, this kind of image, this kind of photo has been taken before, night comes. I mean, in the evening, in early evening. And that's the reason why the sky is so bright because, the camera took a few seconds to make the picture, and so we had a lot of light coming from the sky. And you can understand basically the length, the shutter speed, the length of how much time does it takes to make the photo, because you can look at the length of this car trails. Okay, the longer, the more time you will need. Now, once you know this, so you need to, a photo for your car like trails, then you can, of course, open it, download it, open it in Photoshop, and you can place it over the image. Now, we are using this file, which is a different file from the previous video. You will find this PSB in the zip file of the project. And as you can see here, we have a photo. And if you look at the normal photo, so I'm just putting the blending mode to normal and the opacity 100%. I, for the moment, uncheck the mask to reveal the whole thing, to reveal the whole photo. And as you can see, it's a photo with lots of light trails, okay? But we need just this one. So we mask it properly, and then we place this layer in color dodge. Now, color dodge is one way, screen is another. What's the difference? Color dodge is a little bit more kind of contrasted, and if you have kind of a texture underneath, you can see it a lot better. I mean, it's up to you. There's no good or bad. There's no problem if you want to use both. You can even, use this color dodge and then go down with the opacity and then duplicate the layer, and the second layer can be in screen. I don't know. It's up to you. But remember that you need to look at the shader you have on the ground, because if it's concrete, if it's asphalt, sorry, and is kind of wet, you should have also the reflection of the car trail, like in this case, you see? And sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't have it, depends on the photo. And it's very visible, only somewhere, you see? Like in this photo, it's visible only here. And probably because we have more of it in perspective than on the others areas. Okay, so don't forget about it. You need also the reflection. If you have only the light car trail, you can duplicate it, move it down and then blur it, and maybe with color dodge you will see a little bit of the texture which we have behind, in order to add a little bit of noise from the asphalt. Okay, and in this case what we had here was very strong, car light trails, but we didn't like the color, so we put a hue saturation on top of it with an adjustment. Okay, we to color it a little bit like a peach color, more orangey, and that's it. And don't forget about, we can have basically two types of colors in car light trails: white and red, and some orangey sometimes because of, probably, some kind of lamp on the back of, the car. But anyway, white is the color that you get from car coming close to the camera, and then red is the color of cars going away from you, going away from the camera. Okay, so be aware of that. And you see, if you use photos, you can even get some very cool colors that you normally, don't get if you paint it, if you try to do it by yourself. So I always release on photos to do car light trails. And be aware of the perspective, because is really important. Not every photo will match your street, of course. Okay, so that's why the best thing ever is you going outside with your camera, a tripod, and I suggest you to get close to I don't know, a roundabout, or I don't know, somewhere where cars may stop. So you have that kind of, line that goes from red to, something that stops, because the car actually stopped there. Okay, and you need to try with different shutter speed. And I don't know, you can have like 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. And the darker is the night, the better, which means that you will get only those lines in the picture and not something else. Okay, which is way better, because if you need to then cut out those lines, it could be a mess, and you don't want to spend time on it. Okay, so something like this is the best you can have, because it's just like drag and drop the picture on your PSB and then put screen mode or color dodge mode, and it will work. Okay, nobody stops you from masking your level or going down with the opacity. You can do whatever you want, and it's up to you. It's up to you. Remember one thing: because of the anisotropy, the reflection of any light bouncing on the street may be different from the original lamp or light shape. What that means: it means that if we have a light that looks like a circle, okay, the reflection of that light on the floor, on the asphalt, is different. Is like long and vertical. and the reason is anisotropy. Anisotropy is basically a property of the object, I would say, of the shader, I would say. And we can tell that when we have a physical distortion on the surface, and this physical distortion goes in one way and just in one way only, then the specular is distorted in the other way, okay, 90 degrees from it, which means that if we have from here, from this perspective, the asphalt is basically made of chips, and if all the chips are distorted from this point of view, those chips becomes something like scratches, and every scratch goes horizontal in this picture, and so the specular of this light will be distorted in the other way, so vertically. And you can tell because if you search for some car, like not car trails, but night lamps on the street. Let me see if we are lucky with the research. You see this, let me see. Here we go. See, this is a perfect example. The starting light is a circle, but then because of the, this scratches going horizontally because of the perspective, then the light becomes, the reflection of the light becomes vertical, okay? You can tell here, you see, all the scratches, destroy the reflection, and distort the reflection vertically, okay? So in case you need to do something like that, remember to, take the lamp, copy it on the floor, and then stretch it vertically, and you will get a nice realistic effect because of anisotropy.